You're watching Explore Tulsa.
My very first job out of school, I went out to Los Angeles, and while I was out there, there were the 1992 riots. And that left a tremendous impression on me because I actually saw how media influence took a bad situation and made it infinitely worse. And it damaged a community and a culture for generations to come. And that always left an impression on me that communications isn't to be taken lightly. It's a powerful tool, and it has powerful implications. So in thinking about that bigger picture then, I came back to Oklahoma. I went into the ad agency world, and I had this whole sense of communications is this huge and powerful tool, but the work that I'm doing has this relatively short lifespan. Pour all this work into these little projects and they burn out and they're gone in a month by design. But what kind of a heritage or legacy am I leaving for myself personally when all of my work is just there and gone? And so we got an account where I started working on magazine work. And that was very unusual for an ad agency, but it introduced me to the world of publishing. And as a part of that, we were doing heritage pieces in the magazine. So from that, then I left the ad agency and I started Mullerhaus as a primary focus on publishing design. And then from the publishing design, we started doing personal histories and corporate histories. And so then I saw this brilliant crossover between all of the strategic brand work and strategic communications, and then the history aspect and the design work. And over the years, it's just sort of evolved into what we do today. We're a heritage management firm, and we help families and businesses discover, protect, and use their history. So for families, we're primarily focused on helping to preserve physical assets like photos and documents, but then also pass down family traditions and values, heritage stories, so forth. And then for businesses, we're focused more on strategic applications like communications and employee onboarding, and just really anything where a company needs to be authentic. And that's real key, is authenticity. And when you start telling the heritage story of a company and the consumers or the partners or the employees have a sense of who this company really is, then that helps a lot with your credibility with those audiences. It's extremely rewarding. And so one project that immediately comes to my mind is the Fourth and Boston book. So that was a commissioned book by the Baumgartner family. They own three of the large buildings, the largest buildings at Fourth and Boston downtown. And so they commissioned a project to tell the centennial history of those buildings. And so since that book has come out, I've done all sorts of speaking presentations where people are really curious about these buildings, and I'll be at book signings or whatever, and someone will walk up. Everybody seems to have someone who they know that worked in the building. Oh, my mother worked there, my aunt worked there, I remember watching the Christmas parade there when I was a little kid. And so to see the impact that this project has had on the intrinsic value of those buildings and the community appreciation for those buildings and the pride of ownership in the Baumgartners, because they knew obviously the historical value, but to translate their appreciation for their own properties to the public as a whole by telling that story has been, that's a neat thing to watch.